Well, hey everybody, how you guys doing? This is Robert from roberthollisjr.com. I'm super excited today. I got a special treat for all of my subscribers and followers. I get a chance to interview an amazing man today. He's by far probably one of the most successful people that I know personally, and I recently reached out to him and he agreed to do an interview. So I'm super excited. I know you guys are going to get a lot of value from today's interview. So if you haven't already, make sure you grab a pen and paper, because this guy's got so much knowledge to drop on us. I know I'll be rewatching it and taking notes myself, but this gentleman, Armand Puyolt, he was able to make $1 million by the age of 20. And currently in network marketing, he's making over $1 million a year. So this guy absolutely knows what he's doing. It's an absolute honor for me to even be interviewing this guy. I met him, I think it's been about 7 years ago when I first met you, Armand. And it's just been amazing to watch your career and your success. So thank you so much for being on here.
Fantastic. Thank you, Robert. And as a matter of fact, it's been a pleasure watching yours. I mean, I've seen you since you got started, and I saw you mold into the leader you are. So it's been very exciting to see that also.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, well, first off, as we get started, I know there might be some people out there that really don't know who you are. So maybe just quickly, share with everybody your story, your background, and, where you are today.
Well, basically, my story is this. I started network marketing at the age of 16. I was not expecting to become a network marketer. I was not looking for a network marketing company. It was kind of a fluke. I walked into a home meeting, taking my mom to a home party. And at that home party, I noticed that everybody loved that product. So I wanted to sell something. That's how I survived back then, is selling and selling stuff, selling candy, selling whatever. And I figured that this was another item I could sell. It was almost looking like, for the people who was at my age, like the comic books, it looked like it was collector items. People were looking at this crystal stuff like it was a collector item of sort, and everybody wanted it. So to me, it looked very easy to try to convert that over into a sell. So I tried looking into getting into that company. That distributor who came down to do the home party didn't want to put me in. So she thought I was too young, probably. And after that, I went out looking. I went to a couple of flea markets. And, as I was walking the flea markets, I used to love walking through the flea markets all the time. I still do. And one of the things that happened was I ran into a lady who was selling the exact same stuff. I kind of convinced her to, put me into the business. And she told me that she needed to, to recruit me in, or, sponsor me in was the word that she used. And, I was very baffled about the word sponsor. Why would you need to sponsor me in? Why would you need to sign me up? So one of these things that happened was, I was really asking her, give me the wholesaler. Where's the wholesaler? I'll go pick it up. Don't worry about sponsoring and all that stuff. She goes, no, this is the rules. And she started taking out her pamphlets and see, this is why we do this. And she started explaining it to me little by little. And that's how I started noticing a little bit of what network marketing was, but yet I still didn't have a clue. I got into this company. It was a crystal company, by the way. And this crystal company, I thought, I was not going to do home parties because I read the manual and what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. And I thought at 16, nobody's going to come to a home party for me. So what I did was I hired several girls that were from my high school. And, we put on our school jerseys, our school jackets and everything. We went door to door, like selling chocolate. And as we were doing that, I became the top retailer in that company very quickly. As a matter of fact, these people who were working for me were working by the hour for me, and we're not working even for, I did not even recruit them. They were just working for me. From that point, because I became the top, the top retailer around in this area, I got invited to a convention. And when I got invited to a convention, basically, what ended up happening was that I was telling my story there and how I got to this rank so quickly, how I sold so much, and everybody was looking at me with deer in headlights because that's not the way you do MLM, door to door and everything else, right? So I had this cold feeling in the room, so much that I had to walk off stage and literally walk out the room. I didn't want to be there. I didn't feel welcome. I didn't feel like this was for me. I felt like I was in a really wrong place with the wrong people. So I kept walking to the point that I sat on a table pretty far away. It was like a little coffee shop, but it was like a kiosk of a coffee shop. And I sat down on one of them tables and just stood there and said, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And as a matter of fact, at that point, one gentleman sits down, which was my first mentor, that really starts showing me. He's not a big name or anything in the network marketing arena, but yet he put me in a place where I started recognizing what things were. He sat down, he started explaining to me, like, what you're doing is perfect. But what you're doing is the only thing, the reason that people looked at you wrong is because you're missing a lot of things. You're missing about residual income. You're missing, he starts explaining, he's the first one who started putting down that little circles and, and lines, on the paper and showing me really what a comp plan should, work like, and says, what you're doing is perfect and whatever. But yet I did not want to go back to that company. And I started talking to him and I figured out that he was in another company. His wife was in this crystal company, but he was in another company that was a telecommunications company that was just exploding at the time. It was just kind of starting at the time. It was a long distance carrier company. I really transferred right into that company and, started there, did the same thing, hired my people from school, a little bit more of those kids, and started going door to door, became at that point an RVP really quickly, a record timing. I created pretty much very good wealth at that time. I remember by the age of 18, I bought my first house. So it was pretty impressive. People were, at 18, you don't have that many kids that really are buying their home. So I was really living the lifestyle that I was really dreaming of for a very long time. From there, at the age of 20, I hit my first $1 million a year in earnings. It was just a phenomenal time, and I didn't even expect it. It was just the money was coming in so heavy, so strong that I could not even fathom it stopping in my life. I mean, it really did not even believe that. Then deregulation happened really quickly after that. When the government deregulated the long distance carrier, all of a sudden, the whole company went shot. I mean, it was one of those things that it just went to heck, so we just took off. We started looking for something else. A few of my friends in that company who were the big leaders, which I followed, I listened to all the time. They said they're going to another company. It was a weight loss company at that time. And it was a capsule made out of ephedra capsule. It's a ephedra, a weight loss pill. And I didn't think of it much. It was a very high entrance fee to get in. It was extremely high, so I thought, nobody's going to really try to recruit themselves into this. But yet the concept was pretty phenomenal. So we went on and I started doing that. In that company, I started regaining the amount of money I was making very quickly. I started hitting $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, hit $5 million really by the age of 25 in that company. And then again, the government got involved, cut ephedra off cut ephedra off that we can use it, and that company also went shot. It just got destroyed again. From there, I went through a consistency of finding great companies, but I was never excited. And I kept going through companies, really trying to look for a home. I never really found a home, even though I was doing six figures in most of them. I was never really content. I was never happy where I was at. I was never, I never wanted to stop. It wasn't the vehicle that I thought I could get to $1 million plus. That's what I was always looking for. So I kept looking. I kept looking. At the same time, I was actually working my own business, which is a brick and mortar company. I was doing very well also. So I wasn't really too excited about the MLM or anything of the industry, but yet I was still looking for a good home because it's like going to church. People love going to the meetings. People love going to, for me, it was like, it was my spiritual time, to take care. That's why I love the Thursdays. I love the Tuesday nights. I love, those the every night meeting that we had to the one-on-ones. To me, it was very, very, almost like a religious factor. It was just phenomenal for me in my spirit. So I needed to get back to that. I kept looking for that golden ticket all the time. I kept looking, never really found it until, I ran into a certain company. Excuse me. I ran into a certain company that, I really digged, I really loved. And when I was working this company, a lot of my friends were telling me that, network marketing was going back up. People were really getting into these companies and back into that old telecommunications company that now was selling telephones, and I was like, well, I'm not too excited about that yet. I joined up again really to get back into that feeling, get back into that church, that meetings and stuff and progressive. And right about the same time, I had something I think it was pretty fatal to me, right? It was, I had a how do you call that? I got my Spanish and my English all mixed up in one, right? I had my gallbladder explode inside my body. And when my gallbladder exploded, I didn't even know that I just had pain, pain, pain. And I thought, I was that macho guy that never took pain, never took capsules. So I always took it as much as I could. This time I could not take the pain. So I was taking these, I started taking, I thought it was like gas or something, or reflux or gas reflux or something. So I was taking Mylanta, then I took, a little bit of, Tums and Rolaids. And then, after that, nothing happened, and then so I started taking, the ibuprofens. And then all of a sudden I was like drugged. I mean, I took everything I had in the medicine cabinet, and I felt that, you get to the point that you figure, you know what, you overdid it. You did something. So now I'm thinking to myself at 1 a.m. where I'm in this pain. I'm like, now I got my stomach feeling heat inside because all the medications I've been putting into it. That I said, I need a stomach pump. And I just literally said, I need a stomach pump, and jumped in my car and started heading toward the hospital. And as I got to the hospital, I noticed that as I got to the window to tell them I need a stomach pump, I overdosed. I took a lot of medicine. I'm feeling really sick. They looked at me once. They didn't even ask me what I needed. They came out, grabbed me, took me in. I didn't notice, but on the side of my white T-shirt that I had on that night was bleeding. All there was like sweat and blood on the side. It was almost like I got shot. Well, when I was in there, I noticed one thing is that my doctors there were telling me that you got 99.99999% you're coming out dead out of this. You're not surviving this thing. It's already exploded, already is infecting everything else. The acids and the poisons that are being spread out right now through your body are just ridiculous. We're having a specialist flown in from San Francisco to try to help us out, but this and that. But they gave me this IV that took the pain away for the moment. I still don't know exactly what that was, but I mean, I just wanted that stuff back in my body, right? They took it out. They wanted me sober so I can sign some paperwork. So they started, leaving that out to the point that the pain was coming back so dramatically. It was phenomenal. When I was on this bed, and they were actually pushing me into this operating room, the doctor told me that, basically says, you got to sign the paperwork. I says, what's on this paperwork? He says, before we even touch it, is just the paperwork basically said that we're going to try to save you, but the chances of you coming out of this life is none. So it's we're going to try our best. So we don't want. We're going to try to do what we can, but you're really not coming out of this. At that moment, I think I started crying a lot because I just remembered that I went to the hospital on my own. I left my kids at home. Everybody was sleeping. Nobody knows I showed up. I don't even remember if I had a wallet on me, to really point me in the right direction to, so people know where it was. I just don't. Yeah, I was just crying. I mean, then I started pleading at that moment to God, and I started saying, "Look, please save me." He goes, "Please let me live. Please let me. If you let me live," he goes, I'll do whatever I can for you. I'll do whatever I can. I'll work for you. I'll help. I'll do whatever you need me to do. And I started this plead, but the moment I was knocking out, and I knocked out completely, because I knocked out. The next morning, I woke up and I figured out that I was in the hospital, and it was kind of like a weird zone where you wake up and you go like, whoa. Where am I at? And then all of a sudden you go, oh, I'm in a hospital. Why am I in a hospital? Then I remember, and I was very excited to the point. One of the great things that I had is my dad was there with me, and when I turned around, I saw him. He's like, come down. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. And I thought I was really dead at that point, in time. And I was alive, but I did remember the promise. I said, you know what? I'm going to help. I'm going to do what I can. I'm not doing this for the greed. I'm not doing this because my mission was really to get to $1 million. And it was really I was really working to try to find the money again, where the lifestyle that I was living at, at 25, that's what I wanted to get back to. And that was my goal, so it has always been my goal at that point, to really get back to those points. And, I got really, really excited about that I was alive, that when I got home, it was very funny because I got home and And right away, I had one of the gentlemen, the guy who sat down actually next to me in that coffee shop. I told you it was one of my first renter. Walked up to my home and he knocked on the door and he says, "Hey, look, there's a new juice company that's coming up. There's a great little company. We need you to come up to Utah to listen into this home, and you got to really listen to what we have, because I think this is going to be the next explosion, and we really want to do this." And I says, "Well, I'm not really interested no more. I don't want to do this. I got my own business I got to take care of. I just don't want anything to do with that." He says, "Look, can you just fly up with me? They really want you there, and they don't really want me there. I was told to bring you." So it's like, if you can go and I go with you and you don't sign up and I sign up, it's okay. That's all I want to do is get there, and be able to get in the door. He goes, "Just come with me," right? So we grab a flight to Utah, listening to this company. Doctors came in, the scientists came in, the master distributor's home, and all that stuff. And we were talking about the stuff, and we signed up. We signed up to this company. I was very excited. As a matter of fact, before I left, my wife told me, he goes, if you sign up, you don't come home. It's one of those things. But I even missed my flight home because I was so excited about what we're doing there. We're shooting hoops down there. We were talking about what we're gonna do, and it's like it was just exciting. It felt that live drive again that was in me. I was like, this can be the vehicle that I was looking for to really get back to my lifestyle. So I got home and I did my first meeting. I called everybody up and said, "You know what? We're gonna launch this company. I want everybody there at my house." And we came down. My house was filled. I remember my flight back was about 12 a.m. and everybody was here about 1 o'clock in the morning. When I went through the door, my house was filled with people. And I started telling them the comp plan, what we're going to do, what the mission was, and there was no product right now for 6 months. So when we started talking about this product and everything, and everybody was signing up with nothing but my word, I thought we were in a really great company. That's what we're going to start doing. A little bit after that, we started building really quickly. I had one of the vehicles that the company really gave away because of the rank, and I started going down to San Diego's, the Arizona. I started traveling. Instead of traveling by plane, because you had the vehicle, you drove there. And it was one of those. It was kind of like the bad part about having the vehicle, right? So so I started driving to Arizona one day, and we were going to basically convert a whole company that was supposed to have a Super Saturday. I was supposed to show up. It was supposed to be about 500 people that show up to this event, and I was supposed to show up and convert everybody over to this new company, right? So I was very excited about that. I remember on the way there, on the way to Arizona, I was doing the numbers. I was really counting the numbers, how many people I have, how many people are going to come in, how much money we're going to make, what's the residual. My numbers, I was excited. I was like, yes, we're going to make it. This is going to become, it goes, we're going to hit those 7 figures again. We're going to hit those 7 figures. I was very excited about that. It's so excited that I don't understand the next part where I woke up and I was upside down in the truck. I don't even understand how, I flipped it. I was so excited. I don't remember how I fell asleep. I don't remember nothing. But the whole truck was totaled, and every single inch of it was destroyed. Even when I got taken out of the vehicle, they even told me, "How the heck you are alive?" An accident like this, nobody is alive. It's impossible. It's just, the speed that you turn this thing and everything. I didn't even have whiplash. I guess I fell asleep and I was so limp that I didn't even feel the impact, nothing, and nothing happened, not even a scrape. It was so amazing. But yet when I was there, I was like, they were telling me you should have been dead. I kind of took it as a message. I says, what, maybe, and I kind of felt this in me where where I said, I made a promise and I was not keeping it. I was really looking for the funds and the money, and I was really heading toward that. And my mind was focused more on that than how many people were going to help. And, it was more focused on how much money I was going to make. And that's when I flipped the truck. I started making miracles. And I started apologizing to God again. I said, I'm sorry. Because I know it was me getting the greed. I'm sorry, it's me. It won't happen again. I apologize. Please forgive me. And everything just turned out fine. After that, I got also, insurance replaced the truck, obviously. I was in that company for a while. Didn't really. We made great money, in that company, the six figures and plus. But yet, from there, I decided to leave. And as a matter of fact, I was not happy in that company again, and I was looking for something else. That's when, I went to another company. This is where the company we met last, and I went there, and I was sitting down. I remember in a meeting room with your dad, and I was sitting there, and we were talking, and we were talking about what we were going to do and how we were going to grow and everything else. When all of a sudden, we get a text message. Well, I got a text message from, I believe even, I don't know if your dad did, but Mike got a text message saying that the chairman from the company was wondering why I was at that company and what was my truck doing there. And all of a sudden, everything was frozen. And even though I was making good money, everything was frozen. I was kind of felt like, I was not there for that. I was not there. I was there because I was thinking I was going to do some consulting. I was thinking I was going to do something else, not because, not because I wanted to really join. I wanted to see what it was. I wanted to see what, why some leaders left there. I wanted to see why people left the company, for something else. Must be something better. I wanted to look what they were doing, and I got cut off. So I went to this little depression, and as I was going through this depression, I was losing everything. I started losing my cars. I had a BMW 12-cylinder. I still have it in my, I started losing, the exotic cars. I started losing the toys. I started losing everything. My credit was going down the hole incredibly. And I just didn't care no more because I lost this big paycheck, and I knew that was my trip to the $1 million. I knew that was my company that was going to take me to 7 figures, and I had that so molded. It just went to this little downslope to the point where the Christmas that Christmas morning, I think it was that from that year, my son cried, and the reason he cried was not because he didn't have any gifts, but because Santa Claus didn't. He figured that Santa didn't love him, or Santa didn't, think he was good this year. And for a child to start thinking these things and really it's your fault, it really woke me up, and I started busting my butt in this business. I started growing that business, to what it was. It was a coffee business. I started moving that business up and up, and started getting the ranks there. I was never happy there because I kind of felt I was forced there. So I was never at 100%, but yet I was hitting ranks pretty good. I was doing very well. One of the things that happened is on a trip to San Diego on that same truck, by the way, because I took the stickers off from the other company. I was driving that truck down to San Diego, and we had a meeting where over 100 people signed up to the business. At this meeting, I remember I ended the meeting about maybe about 10, 11 o'clock at night. So I was on my way home about 1 in the morning on down up the 15 freeway in California when I was hitting around Temecula, when I realized, I was so excited about how many people came in. I was like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. And I was very excited about the money that I was going to be making and everything, that I started, hearing, I woke up to a crunch, more like it. And when I woke up to this crunch, I was leading the truck onto into a trailer of a semi-truck. And I was really, the mirror was crunching so much, it popped and everything else. And a lot of people who were in that company remember my truck had, that mirror was hanging now for quite a while. I didn't even have the cash at that moment to even replace it, because I was depressed and all that stuff. But again, I remembered it was all about, the greed. I started grabbing that greed again, and I was thinking about, not the people. I was thinking about the money I was going to make. So I really got the point that time. I think that was the third time that the thing God told me, you gotta really think about the people, not the money, and everything will be okay. And I kind of got it at that point. That's when I started, looking at the company a little bit different. I started working the company. I hit a great position in that company. I was on the magazine in that company with a great spot. I made some great friends, but yet the ethics within the company, I was not happy with. So I was never happy with the ethics. I was not happy with several leaders that were in there with unethical, and they were permitted to be unethical. So I started looking for something else to do. I says, you know what? I'm going to build my own company. And I'm just going to build my own company. Forget this. I got the money to do it. Let's just build my own company and stop. Forget this. So I started looking for products. I started looking for things. And as I was working that company, and I remember very well that I started looking for little things here and there for products that were going to be rare and different. And when I met this other gentleman now and came down from Michigan, which is the CEO of the company I'm currently in right now. I met him in a Denny's in Fontana, and when I met him, I sat down and I kind of felt the energy that I wanted for people. Not about the money, it was about the people. He was telling me everything I wanted to hear, so much that I was willing to stop my dream about building a company and run with his. Right? I said, basically they're so similar in like, I don't want to be CEO. I'm not a CEO guy. I wanted to be, the guy who was running. So we made it, we made something up, made something happen. We had his one product, I brought all the products that I had over to his company, and we started building this company. I started, really hitting hard. We made very well to the point that, we started creating the comp plan, February 10, 2010. We launched this comp plan in this company, and that same month, I collapsed in my home. And when I collapsed, I went to the hospital, and I was told I had, a tumor between my heart. That was the reason that I actually collapsed, because I was breathing so hard that it was hitting my heart, and it was just not good. So I thought it was a heart attack, right? It was a pretty big tumor that I had there, but that was not the worst part of it. They actually, after the test and everything, they came back and says, you have gastric cancer, stage 4. So when they told me that, I said, how bad is that? He says, well, you only got about 6 months more of life left. It goes, but we may be able to push you a little bit further if we do some if we do some tests, and we figure out how we try to control it, and all that stuff. But yet a lot of stuff was sounding to me very not wrong. I was not a really big believer in everybody I saw that had cancer and went through the chemo and went through everything. I saw they faded away very quickly. I started looking at my life. I said, well, I just started this. Now everything everything I had, I invested into this company. I put everything, what am I going to do? What are my kids going to live? I don't even have a residual income, for my children, for my family. What about all the leaders that I convinced them to jump over, really dropping their check from another company, to come down? What am I going to do for them? What's the deal? So I kind of went into this zone where I literally walked off. I got off I got out of the hospital, walked away, and just kept walking. Even though doctors were calling my wife, telling them to bring me back, and all that stuff. I just kept going. I needed that time to really walk and think and put things into my head in perspective. Where I figured, I says, you know what? If God is giving me 6 more months of life, I'm going to use them to my maximum. And this is where I start getting to that zone that I think built me to this moment that I am right now, is that I said, if I have 6 months more of life, I'm going to work, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to work to the point that I'm going to make, a residual income that's big enough for my family to survive, after this. And I'm going to make the company big enough that even if I'm gone, it'll keep growing without me. So that was my passion. I started moving. As a matter of fact, I stopped sleeping much. I mean, I literally slept, because I was also afraid of falling asleep because I thought I was going to die. I kind of figured that, the more I slept, when I slept is because I knocked out. But as soon as I would wake up, I would be back up. So I wouldn't sleep much. It would be like an hour, 2 hours naps that I would take, at times, but I kept moving, kept recruiting, get going, going to the flea markets, going to door to door, going to people, going to leader, and I was really moving as fast as I could, to the speed that, in 6 months, the company was doing very well. I mean, the company started getting on the map. The people started noticing what the company was. People started to join. It was moving very well, and I was very excited about that. But I also was excited that I didn't die at 6 months. I was there in 6 month mark, and I figured I was going to pass away again, and it didn't happen. Then 7 months didn't happen. 8 months didn't happen. I was even afraid of going to the doctor and asking him why I'm still alive. So I just didn't go. I just said, forget it. If I'm doing good, I'm just keep going. And I just kept pushing, opening up many markets around the world. I went into, El Salvador. I went into Mexico. I went into Peru. I went to Colombia. I went to Bolivia. I went to Dominican Republic. I went to Cucuta. I went to I just kept moving in Chile, and we just kept moving, opening a market after market after market, and just made a massive explosion, especially in the Latin market side. I think that was my niche that we didn't expect, but yet that's the way it went, and we became this powerhouse, number one company in all Latin America, and we started moving forward very quickly to the point that nowadays I have over 600,000 reps underneath me. We made over 8 figures last year. We're doing very well, and you know what? There's many things more that are on my map. I have already dreams that going back to my dream of really building something that is ours instead of for somebody else. I know the company as well and everything else, but yet, we have a vehicle that is moving very quickly, very powerful. I think we're helping a lot of people being successful. We have over 20 people that are in my downline. They've made over $1 million this year. I think it's very impressive. We have, over probably about very close to about, I would say 6,000 people that are making over $200,000 a year. And then we have over, I think, over 10,000 that are making over, 10,000 plus a year. So it's very exciting to see success. And my base always has been, lead with love. And that's basically what I've always done with people. I says, you know what, you don't lead with money, you lead with love. My first mentor, again, and I'm not afraid to tell you this, is Jesus Christ. And the reason he's my mentor, he's the first network marketer in the world where he recruited 12, and from there it became billions. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to start just growing and growing and growing to masses. And I believe in building that ark for the people who need it. And that's what we're doing.